just love going to. And we really don't want Revere to be changed by this casino coming in. We know that a lot of people have been told that this is going to be something really positive for Revere, but I guarantee that a lot of you guys can remember what Revere was like way back when the horse track was at its prime, when the dog track was at its prime, when they would have their daily doubles and traffic would just be gridlocked. The thing that I think about with that is I kind of draw on my experience as an EMT and seeing what it was like trying to get through traffic in Lynn and Revere, especially at really high traffic hours. And when you've had a fall, if you've had a heart attack or you've had a stroke, every second counts. If the ambulance can't get here or can't get to Boston quick enough, it can really mean the difference between life or death, or the difference between a full recovery and only a partial recovery. I'm really worried about you guys. I'm really worried about myself. Me and my wife Megan, who is somewhere in this room. Meg, wave your hand. Anyway? Oh, there she is. We just got married in October. We hope to stay in Revere and have a family here. And the thing that scares us about that is having a casino within 1,000 feet of two of our elementary schools and 2 of our middle schools. We know that our kids, if we choose to stay in Revere and the casino comes, will probably be exposed to a casino here, and it's really scary for us knowing that people will be there drinking, gambling, possibly losing, and possibly being very angry when they leave there. And you never know how people will react in those situations. And having a lot of kids who nowadays have to walk to and from school right on that road, that's a really scary thing for us. But I don't want to take up all the time, and I don't want to keep you guys here forever. I want you guys to be able to have some nice, tasty treats. So I'm going to introduce our next person, who's going to be Rabbi Joe. Thank you.
All right, great. Can you hear me? Hello? Oh, this one's better. I'll talk into this one. So I'm Rabbi Joseph Berman. I know many of you. I've been here in the services and done other things here. I'm the rabbi of Temple B'nai Israel down the street in Beachmont. I know there are many people who live here who are members or who have been members in the past. So I'm really happy to be speaking with you here today and want to thank you for having me. I'm here only speaking on my own behalf, not on behalf of the congregation. I don't claim to speak for the Jews of Revere. If there's anyone who ever tells you they speak for all the Jews, don't believe them. So, right? Well, you know what they say about 2 Jews, 3 opinions. But I'm just here speaking on my own behalf. And I want to share a little bit with you today about why I think a casino coming to Revere would be really horrible for this community. I want to start by telling you a bit about what Judaism has to say about gambling, which helped inform my views, and then share with you some of the other things that have helped inform my own views on this issue. For a long time, I didn't stand up and say anything about this casino. And then the vote got closer, and I started to think about it more and realized that I needed to do some investigation. I needed to do some learning, some study, and so I started to look into this issue. What does Judaism have to say about casinos? And obviously there weren't casinos a couple thousand years ago when the rabbis were making Jewish law, but there was gambling. Then it was pigeon racing. And the first time that we ever have a comment, a mention about anything that's like gambling has to do with people who are pigeon racers. Some kind of gambling, I guess that's what people did. Instead of dog races, they had pigeon races. And the rabbis are very clear that people who are pigeon racers cannot serve as witnesses. They're disqualified to be witnesses. And it's not clear why exactly that is. There's lots of debate about why is that. Is it that people are untrustworthy if they gamble a lot? The rabbis aren't exactly sure about that. But where they come down is they don't say it's forbidden to gamble. And I'm not here to tell you, oh, it's a sin, you can't do it. That's not why I'm here today. So they go on and they discuss, as Jewish law progressed, this issue of gambling, what's the problem with it. And there's one view of it which I think makes a lot of sense when we're talking about casinos, which is basically sees gambling as a form of stealing. And that's because people go into a proposition, they put in their money thinking they're going to get something. One of those people walks out and gets nothing. Or if you get money, you're taking money for nothing. You didn't do anything to get that money. It's not an exchange. You didn't give $1 to get to $1.50 to get a cup of coffee. You don't get a cup of coffee in return, right? So that's this idea, which I think is an idea that actually makes a lot of sense when we're talking about casinos, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Casinos, I think, are a whole different beast than when we're talking about pigeon racing. Casinos are not pigeon racing. Casinos is a big company that comes in, and the way that it works is they make money. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in business. And the way they make money is by taking people's money, right? People go into casinos, and on average, you go in, the house is going to win. That's how it works. That's why they make money. The house is going to win. And all the studies that are out there, all the serious studies that are out there, if you look at the research, are very clear that the people who are most likely to go in and gamble the most and lose the most amount of money are the people who can least afford it, who can least afford to lose that money, who can least afford to lose that money. And that scares me. I have to be honest, that's something that scares me, right? The studies show that what ends up happening is that people then get poorer, that wherever there's a casino, there is more poverty. There are more people who are struggling. There's also more addiction. The other thing that caused me to take a stand was I started to hear stories from people that I know and care about who grew up struggling because the breadwinner in their family who worked a couple of jobs would spend it all on gambling. And then the family didn't have enough to get by. And we know that wherever there's a casino, within 30 miles, within 50 miles, there is going to be more addiction. There is going to be more gambling addiction. That means there will be more people who are struggling. More people that we're going to have to take care of as a community, because that's what we do. That's what communities do. So these are some of the fears that I have. Which is essentially that I think that a casino could come into Revere and really steal from the community. I really take money from people who can least afford to lose that money, and hurt people who are really the most vulnerable among us. So that's what I'm most scared of. I mean, I think there are other significant problems that we've heard a little bit about, and I'm also worried about crime, about traffic. I think those are also real issues. But for these reasons, I've come here to speak with you today. And I hope that we're going to get to engage in a conversation. We're going to talk and then get to hear what some people here think, get some questions, and have a back and forth. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to hearing your questions and getting to have an honest conversation. But thank you so much for having me here today.
Next up is going to be Father George Zale from the Immaculate Conception.
Thank you, Rabbi. I was a lot like Rabbi Joe. I didn't think much of it until, I've never been for gambling on this kind of scale. I didn't think the state should get into lotteries 40 years ago. I was still in the seminary. I thought it was for a state to depend upon the weakness of people. And now the state itself is an addict because we can't do without the money from the lottery. We have to keep the lottery going. That sounds kind of nuts to me. But when the whole lottery question came up in November, I voted against it. But I said, it's an uphill battle. The school committee didn't listen to me when I objected with some parents to the passing out condoms and abortion pills. They shouted me down. The superintendent did. I said, didn't have a chance. And the mayor sent around postcards to prevent the topic from even being put on the ballot. I said, how can I fight Goliath? I forgot our tradition. So about 5 weeks ago, Bishop Bogertman asked me and the Catholic pastors to do something to prevent this casino from coming in, because for the same reason, we come out of the Jewish tradition, then, we're your little brothers and sisters, and we see that it says in the Catechism of the Catholic Church that a little gambling, a little bingo here, card playing, flying pigeons, Whatever. Okay. But when it gets to be predatory and a person loses what they need to keep, to preserve their family and their own lives, I read a statistic, got all these statistics. I started reading up on this stuff. 60% of the revenue, or 60 or 70% of the revenue of a casino comes from 20% of the people who are addicted. There are even some people who are so addicted, they hate to win because it stops the play. Because now they have, slot machines that are computerized. So you don't have to pull the thing. So there's no pause. And the computer can increase the play, and give people a sight. People actually become mesmerized by these things. And most of the machines within most of the gambling is not at these roulette tables with people in nice evening clothes and pearls and tailored suits. No. Take a look at the people who are, in their pajamas or their lounge suits or their sweatsuits, It's sad. Most of the people come out sad because most of them lose. As the Rabbi pointed out, casinos aren't there to give money away. And it's a sad thing. My personal experience, I was in southern Maine in a town called Brunswick. We had the largest Catholic parish in Maine, either the largest or the next to the largest. And when I left, the new pastor had a secretary whom he trusted so much he gave her a rubber stamp with his signature on it. She embezzled $500,000 to feed her son's gambling and alcohol addiction. And the parish, God bless the parish, it brought them together. Because she cleaned out the cemetery fund, she cleaned out the school fund, she cleaned out the $95,000 they had made from the bazaar that year. She cleaned out everything. But it almost destroyed the parish. But they were a community of faith. They even forgave her, or most of them did. Because it's I'm from Detroit, Michigan, first third world city in the United States. They brought in gambling, 3 casinos, helped to improve the economy. Didn't work. Only made the situation worse. Because, as the rabbi pointed out, that it sucks up the money from the poor. It makes them poorer. Because that's all that's left in Detroit. And which causes me to wonder. Mohican Sun is $1 billion in debt. And they come to us with gifts. All I could think of, what other business offers you big gifts? Big gifts so that they can come into your town. All I could think of was the Trojan horse. Remember that story? The Trojan, beautiful horse made by the Greeks to get inside the walls of Troy. Once they get inside the walls of Troy, they open up the gates and the killing starts and Troy is destroyed. And in Atlantic City, 40 restaurants closed within the first couple of years. Suicides went up. In Las Vegas, they have 4 times the rate of suicide of any other city in the United States. Proportional. It's sad. And we're about life. We people of faith. That's the other thing that we faith traditions got together for the first time in the history of Revere. And I started saying, well, wait a minute. Western civilization is built on the Judeo-Christian ethic. Right? So I come from Abraham. So that's 4,000 years if Abraham was in existence around 1850, before the Common Era. And the Christians, 2,000 years. So that's 6,000. Is that 4 plus 2? 6,000 some years. And then you have the Muslim tradition, which is 1,400 years. And all of them say gambling on this level, predatory gambling, is not good. It destroys individuals, it destroys families, and because of that, it destroys the community upon which is built on families, right? Abraham and Sarah, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. So I don't know who Muhammad married, but anyway, society is built on families, and this is destructive of families. And for that, and besides that, I'm in this because the bishop invited me. And I think, I don't say that the mayor, anyone is bad. It's not for me to judge anyone's motives, but I can judge decisions. You know, whether, you know, is it all right to play in the street or not? I'm not judging what motive the kid had for running out into the street. I'm not saying he's a bad person, but don't play in the street. Don't bring a casino. Don't bring a Trojan horse into Revere, because it's not good. All three traditions say that.
Next up, we're going to invite my wife, Megan Catricala. She's a clinical social worker and can speak to a little bit of that.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I work with... Speak up? Okay. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I work with people who have mental health and addiction problems. And I've looked a lot at the research about casinos. And, you know, it's really hard when a casino is right next door. It might be nice for once a month to go down to Connecticut and have fun, and I know that a lot of people like to do that on the buses, and that's fine. But I think that you guys need to be really aware of how a casino right down the street would impact you as seniors. A lot of times, you guys are facing hard times, medical problems, depression, loneliness, multiple losses, and a lot of life changes, and that can be difficult. The fear that I have with a casino coming in right next door to you is that it kind of provides an escape. Gambling and sitting at a slot machine is psychologically, it can be an escape. And that's a trap that a lot of people fall into, where, you know, if it's right next door, it's very easy to go and just escape from the life issues that you're facing. And that's why I really feel that if a casino is right down the street, it would, you know, you guys have worked really hard to be here. You know, you've saved your money, you've been responsible, you want to stay here, and you want to, you know, keep your money. And I'm afraid that if a casino was right next door, it would be easy. Easy for people to feel like they could go, you know, every day even to gamble. So that's just my concerns, and I just wanted to share them with you. Thank you.
Isn't she great? And last up is going to be Pastor Timothy Bogertman from the First Congregational Church.
How you doing? It's good to be with all of you today. I'm thankful to be part of this time here. There's a lot of wisdom in this room, a lot of people here who have a lot to share and to offer us. So we realize that. You know, a lot of ways we're asking you to have an open mind on this other side, to hear a different perspective on it. We respect that. It is your vote, your opportunity to make the choice about the community. And one of the big things we want to remind you, a lot has been said. So, you know, I'm not going to say too much more. I'll open up to questions here. But I think a couple things to keep in mind. We care about this community and our kids. We care about the future of this community. You know, many of us here, we want to raise our family in Revere and want to continue to see that happen. But some of the concerns that we have, or that we're looking at here, is thinking about what will happen when crime goes up. And people say, oh, we already have crime. Well, let me tell you, when a casino comes in, the crime rate will skyrocket. It will. People say it won't, but it will. These are difficulties that are hard to mitigate and actually remove. Having been in New Jersey most of my life and grown up not too far from Atlantic City, I can tell you that that's exactly what people in Atlantic City had said, that, oh, this will come in and be great for the people there. When resort-style casinos came into Atlantic City, in an urban environment, not an outside environment, that went up, and that was a major, major issue, and continues to be. That surrounding area has been deeply impacted by that. Also a reminder about traffic and those concerns. We've said a lot about that already. And then thirdly, just want to remind us too about what can happen when these things continue in communities, about our worries and concerns for all of us for addictions. You know, people think addictions can't happen to us or our friends, but they do. And when addictions happen to people we love and that we care about, it hits much closer to home. Having seen friends go through gambling addictions and seeing what that happens to them, when a casino is this close, that is exactly what happens to communities. And we want to see a concern for our communities, the people that live here, and be aware of those needs. Don't forget, too, that casinos are predatory by nature. We mentioned before in the paper, you've seen the story about the house liens, that was offered by someone whose social security check was over $30,000 to actually gamble, and then a lien was put in their house. These are concerns we have for people who live here. We don't want to see house vacant. We don't want people moving out, middle-class families leaving, vacant houses, crime that goes up, swatting issues. These are all things that continue to happen over the time. It's a quick fix for a long-term pain. It's easy money quickly for long-term issues down the line. And we care about this community and want to see our families raised here and having people that are good jobs happen in that area. There's a lot more we could say, but we want to give time for questions. Rabbi Joe, I want to say one more thing, and then I'm going to open us up to questions now. So.
I forgot to mention that I was supposed to send regrets from Rabbi Sandy, who wanted to be here and is generally supportive of the general sentiment. So I wanted to just send regrets from her. She's away right now, but I just wanted to make sure to mention that.